Big news, big news. UConn decides to leave the American Athletic Conference, and it was a good conference. It had the Houston Cougars on there. You know what I mean? They had UCF. A nice team. USC Knights. They've been good in football. They did well in basketball this year, but I never liked UConn's move. I didn't really quite understand actually why so many teams left the Big East in the first place back in 2013. You see, I grew up watching Syracuse do so many things in the Big East. I saw UConn do so many big things in the Big East, and that's when really these teams were really winning games and competitive. Syracuse has not been the same since joining the ACC. UConn has not been the same since joining the American Athletic Conference. Now, granted, their women's team has been successful, but for me, one of the reasons why I think UConn didn't do well in this last, especially the women, I feel like one of the reasons why they didn't do well was based on the competition that they played. If they were to play in the Big East against some of the better Division I schools when it comes to women's basketball, they would have done a much better job if they were in the Big East or if they were in the ACC or wherever they would have been in. But I feel like since there wasn't as much competition in their conference play and they were undefeated in their conference, I feel like they didn't really face any real competition until the playoffs, until the tournament. And by that point, you know what I mean, they had injuries and they just weren't out the same team. And we see teams like ACC teams, you see Big 12 teams, you see Big 10 teams coming up, and they know what it's like to fight and play against the best of the best. They know how to make those right adjustments because we play against the best every day. UConn women, they didn't play that, and I feel like that's one of the things that they see. I've been saying this for a minute. I feel like that's one of the problems with UConn women, especially of late, because they're not playing against the best competition consistently, so they're not familiar with them. So I believe it's going to be a big step for them joining back to the Big East. The American Athletic Conference is a really good conference. They got a good football program over there. UCF Knights, I like their basketball program with Johnny Dawkins. UCF Knights, everybody loves the USC Knights. I don't think they would ever beat Alabama. That's just my personal opinion, just how good Alabama and Clemson are. That's just my opinion. But nonetheless, it's going to be a big move for UConn. I can't wait to see what happens with the Big East. We're going to find out and see. Because, this is the conference that they have been that UConn's been in since 1979 to 2013. So hopefully they'll get back to their winning ways. UConn football, they're going to be independent, which is kind of interesting because it's like, I get it, UConn football has never been that good, you know what I mean? But they're really going to go the Notre Dame route when they're not Notre Dame. Notre Dame can be independent, even though they haven't been the same in years, you know what I mean? Notre Dame, to me, has that credibility of being independent and stuff like that. Maybe some people could say, well, you don't understand, you don't have to be winning multiple championships and having a great football legacy to be independent, and that's very true. That's probably some people would say that's an ignorant comment, but for me, I just feel like, why not join the Big East football? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I get it, there's other dollars involved, and you never know the full situation until later when that information comes out. But for me, I like the move to the Big East, man. I grew up watching the Big East, watching Syracuse, UConn do their thing in the Big East. Kimball Walker, you know what I mean? That's where Carmelo Anthony won a championship. He won a championship as a representative of the Big East when Syracuse won in 2001. So, you know what? Those are some of the best years in Syracuse and UConn's basketball history. I do know that the AD talked about some of the best years won the American Athletic Conference, and that might be for women's, you know what I mean? But of late, I do feel like the competition definitely did not help out the women's basketball program. Not saying it for the men, even though the men actually have, UConn men's basketball has actually struggled since Jim Calhoun, and that also could be because of the fact that they were playing in a conference that had only a few good teams. Now, there are a lot of good teams on the come up of the American Athletic Conference, but to me, the Big East is where it's happening. I can't wait to see what happens with UConn. The American Athletic Conference, they're going to have some other teams. They're going to be nice. in some sports and in some teams. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out with the American Athletic Conference and the Big East with UConn, not Syracuse, UConn going in. All right, that's all for Let's Talk Sports with Tim McCain. Y'all have a good one. Peace.